Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please smash that like button and, of course, subscribe here. Hit that bell for the notifications. We got Pat Murphy on the line from Bucknuts 247 Sports. The reason the line for a over-under is pushing 80 is there's an expectation that both wide receiver cores are going to abuse the opposing secondary. Is there any reason to believe that it's not going to be a track meet and it's just going to be guys trying to corral Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson? We could go on both sides of this deal.
I don't think so. I wrote the other day about, essentially defense may not be completely gone in this game, but it's probably going to be fairly optional. And so what for defense wins championships, right? These two, as I mentioned, the rush defenses for both teams are pretty good. But it's that the secondaries and Patrick Surtain, the Alabama cornerback, is very good. Up for a number of national awards. Today, Chris Olave compared him to Jeff Okudah, who the Ohio State cornerback from last year, who went number 3 overall in the NFL draft. So that there's certainly talent there. It's just the secondary as a whole for either team haven't lived up to expectations. And as you mentioned with some of those names, there's some very good receivers. We already talked about the quarterbacks in this game. So yeah, I can't see one of these defenses all of a sudden becoming an elite secondary. Alabama has been better of late. I think you've seen improvements, and I think you probably would have from Ohio State secondary if they'd played that second half of a 12-game schedule that they missed with this year. But I think the passing offenses are going to rule the day in this one, just because the rushing defenses are significantly better for both sides.
And Pat, just to run back to the quarterback comparison and what might normally be an advantage for Ohio State might be taken away in this game would be that Mac Jones is tremendous, but Justin Fields can run it. But considering the injury, that's going to be interesting to see how they're going to approach that portion of it.
Yeah, Ryan Day was asked today about, if you call the game any differently. And, he basically gave we're going to call the game to win. And we're going to figure out the best way to do that answer. Talking to Justin Fields today, it sounded like he feels good. He said, and it was a similar answer to what he gave after the Northwestern game leading into the Sugar Bowl against Clemson. I'll be ready by Monday. So you know how that turned out with how he played against Clemson. But in terms of running the ball, Ohio State really hasn't done it a ton. They've done it when they needed to. Obviously, the Michigan State game when you're missing 3 offensive linemen. He had to move around a lot and got going rushing the ball. But when Justin Fields committed to Ohio State, I expect it to be almost a Braxton Miller-esque approach where, obviously he can throw the ball, but, you're going to use the legs a lot. And some of that had to do with the lack of depth last year at quarterback. And this year, they haven't really needed to. So I think that we'll have to wait and see how he's looking with the injury. But from what Ohio State has been saying, it doesn't sound like it's bothering him all that much. I think you saw him wincing on throws and things like that in the Clemson game. But, if he needs to run, I think at this point in the season, you're playing for all the marbles. It's win or go home. I think he'll take what he can do or do what he can do, do what he has to do, I guess. And, if that means running the ball more, then I think he'll probably do it and fight through the pain.
Pat, we know you got so much going on, not just with the national championship game, but with football and basketball on a regular basis. So appreciate you stopping by. And again, everybody check out Pat's work at Bucknuts on 247 Sports.
Yep. Anytime. I always enjoy coming on.